After the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BC, his vast empire, stretching from Greece to India, was left without a clear successor. Known as the Age after Alexander, or the Wars of the Diadochi, this period was marked by violent struggles for power among Alexander's generals. Upon Alexander's passing, his empire was divided among his most trusted generals, who were given satrapies, regional governorships. This initial division was known as the Partition of Babylon. The prominent figures included Ptolemy in Egypt, Seleucus in Babylonia, Antipater in Macedon, and Lysimachus in Thrace. Perdiccas was appointed regent to oversee the empire, but his authority was contested. The power struggle began almost immediately. Perdiccas sought to maintain unity within the empire and pursued policies to stabilize Alexander's territories under his command. However, his methods were seen as tyrannical and resulted in a coalition against him, leading to his assassination in 320 BC by his own officers. Following Perdiccas' death, more conflicts arose. Antipater briefly held power, but upon his death in 319 BC, the empire descended further into chaos. His son, Cassander, along with other generals, continued the dispute over territories, dividing the once mighty empire into several smaller kingdoms. Each general proclaimed themselves kings of their respective regions, often clashing with one another. Ptolemy secured Egypt, making it a steadfast and long-lasting Hellenistic kingdom. Seleucus established the Seleucid Empire, which expanded from the eastern Mediterranean to the Indus River. Lysimachus took control of Thrace, while Cassander dominated Greece and Macedon. The period from 323 to 281 BC was characterized by numerous battles, shifting alliances, and betrayals. The most famous among these conflicts was the Battle of Ipsus in 301 BC, where Lysimachus and Seleucus defeated Antigonus, one of the last claimants of Alexander's original empire. This battle effectively ended any hope of reuniting Alexander's territories under a single ruler, solidifying the fragmentation into separate Hellenistic kingdoms. By 281 BC, the wars had concluded with the assassination of Seleucus I by Ptolemy Koronos. His death marked the end of the era of the Diadochi, as well as the cessation of significant military campaigns to reunite the empire. The former territories of Alexander were firmly entrenched as individual kingdoms, each developing their own unique cultural and political landscapes. These events set the stage for the Hellenistic period, where Greek culture and influence spread throughout the known world, leading to developments in arts, science, and philosophy. Each kingdom established by the Diadochi continued to wield significant influence in their regions, laying down the foundation for future historical developments in Europe, the Middle East, and beyond. The tumultuous period of the Wars of the Diadochi carved the path towards the long-lasting impact of Hellenistic civilizations, which thrived long after the echoes of Alexander the Great's conquests faded into history. Following the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BC, his vast empire was left in disarray. This led to the fracturing of territories as his generals, known as the Diadochi, vied for control. By 281 BC, Macedonia was once again emerging as a crucial political entity in the Mediterranean under various rulers who sought to restore its former glory. This narrative explores the tumultuous journey of Macedonia from 281 to 168 BC, focusing on the revival efforts and inherent challenges within. In the wake of Alexander, Macedonia oscillated between resurgence and capitulation, influenced by the ambitions of its leaders and external pressures. Antigonus II Gonatas was one of the pivotal figures in this era. Rising to power in 277 BC, Antigonus was a grandson of one of Alexander's generals and succeeded in asserting Macedonian dominance over Greece for several decades. He faced considerable resistance, with foes like Pyrrhus of Epirus challenging his reign. Antigonus managed to maintain control through strategic alliances and military prowess. His successors, however, struggled to maintain this momentum. The subsequent kings were often mired in conflicts both within and beyond its borders. Philip V, for example, initially expanded Macedonian holdings, but his confrontations with Rome in the Macedonian Wars proved disastrous. His defeats in the first two Macedonian wars illustrated the shifting power dynamics as Roman influence grew exponentially. Philip V's son, Perseus, inherited a kingdom at a critical juncture. Attempting to rejuvenate Macedonian prestige and counteract Roman ascendancy, Perseus engaged in diplomatic and military efforts to fortify his position. Yet, Perseus' miscalculations in alliances and underestimation of Roman resolve led to Macedonia's downfall in the Third Macedonian War, 171 to 168 BC, ultimately resulting in his defeat at the Battle of Pydna in 168 BC. The failure of Macedonia's revival efforts can be attributed to a multitude of factors: persistent internal strife, the formidable expansion of Roman power, and the inability of Macedonia's later rulers to adapt to new geopolitical realities. These elements together sealed the fate of a once formidable kingdom, as it became a Roman province following its defeat. Throughout this period, Macedonia's story was emblematic of both the enduring legacy of Alexander and the challenges of sustaining an empire without its unifying leader. Despite noble attempts to revive its glory days, the kingdom's consistent inability to contend with emerging global powers and internal division spelled its eventual demise. This period of Macedonian history not only highlights the difficulties of maintaining and reviving power in a post-imperial context, but also serves as a poignant reminder of the transient nature of empires. The legacy of Alexander the Great is one of the most enduring in history. His conquests extended the reach of Greek culture and influence across 3 continents, leaving an indelible mark on the ancient world. Born in 356 BC in Pella, Macedonia, Alexander was taught by the philosopher Aristotle and became king at just 20 years old after the assassination of his father, Philip II. He quickly embarked on an ambitious campaign of expansion, taking the Macedonian army across Asia Minor, then onward to Egypt, Persia, and the fringes of India. Alexander's conquests ushered in the Hellenistic Age, a period when Greek culture blended with local customs and traditions to create a new cultural and intellectual landscape. This era saw the spread of the Greek language and many aspects of Greek life as dominant forces across the territories Alexander had conquered. Cities like Alexandria in Egypt became centers of learning and knowledge, drawing scholars from all over the known world. Greek became the lingua franca across these lands, facilitating trade and communication. One of the key aspects of Alexander's influence was his founding of numerous cities, many named after himself. These cities served as administrative centers and symbols of Greek presence. Through them, Greek architecture, theater, and religion were spread, creating a common cultural denominator throughout the vast empire. The Hellenistic period also witnessed advancements in science, mathematics, and philosophy, fueled by the cross-pollination of ideas among different cultures within Alexander's empire. Despite the impressive expansion, Alexander's empire was not sustainable. Following his death in 323 BC at the age of 32, his empire was divided among his generals, known as the Diadochi. This led to the formation of several Hellenistic kingdoms, including the Seleucid Empire, Ptolemaic Egypt, and the Antigonic dynasty in Macedonia. Though political control fragmented, the cultural connections established by Alexander persisted and continued to influence these regions for centuries. Furthermore, Alexander's legacy extends beyond just the spread of Greek culture. His campaigns opened up new trade routes between Europe and Asia, paving the way for future interactions and exchanges. The influence of the Hellenistic world can be seen in later Roman culture, which absorbed many Greek elements, and in the eventual transmission of Greek classics to the Islamic world and onwards into Renaissance Europe. Today, the legacy of Alexander the Great is still felt, as illustrated by the continued significance of the cities he founded and the lasting impact of Hellenistic culture on art, science, and philosophy. He remains a significant figure in both Western and Eastern historical narratives, symbolizing the enduring nature of cultural amalgamation and the intricate legacy of historical conquests.